A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Houston Chronicle news columnist Joy Sewing, Mary Flood, legal consultant with Androvet Legal Media and Marketing, and Marco Roberts, chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Joy, Mary, Marco, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Craig.
Panel, Colorado State University this week reduced the number of named storms it's predicting for hurricane season from 25 all the way down to 23. That's still a lot. As the Palm Beach Post's Kimberly Miller reported this week, the revised forecast calls for 12 hurricanes, 6 Category 3 or higher storms in total. That includes Hurricane Beryl and the other named storms already this year. A typical season only sees about 14 storms. While fewer such storms are welcome, it's also coming as forecasters anticipate the potential for storms threatening to come here to extend a little later into the calendar than usual. Space City Weather's Matt Lanza tells Houston Public Media it might be wise to wait until maybe mid-October to clean out that hurricane supply kit. Hurricane season forecasters are revising down their predictions for the number of storms, but only slightly, while the season itself might offer more serious threats later than usual. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Mary Flood.
It's ugly, Craig.
I'm shocked.
Nobody wants this many storms. Even the Weather Channel's bad luck charm, Jim Cantori, doesn't want this many storms. You know, I've been through more than my share of storms because the name is Flood. I worked 30 years for newspapers, and every editor thought it was hilarious to send me on everything from the Mexico border to any place on the Gulf.
Were you ever lashed to a tree? Were you ever?
No, I didn't do anything fake.
Okay.
So no, I did have a rattlesnake shot at my foot, which is one of the reasons in my trunk I had 2 up-to-the-knees pairs of rubber boots. One for the photog because they would always take it if I didn't bring 2. And so anyway, but I'm also genetically weather obsessed. My significant other called yesterday and said, Progressive has done an ad about you, and it's one of those ads where they don't want you turning into your parents, and it was people talking about the weather. And he goes, this ad is about you. My father was so weather obsessed, he called himself the Cloud Master. Tells you a little bit about where I'm from. Anyway, I have more phone weather apps on my phone than you know, is reasonable. And every morning I start with this guy called Mike Boylan, who runs something called Mike's Weather Page. And on it, he goes through all sorts of measures of tropical storms. He's an amateur meteorologist, and it's wonderful. But he is the reason why a week before Beryl, I filled up my tank and made sure I had cash. And 10 days before Debbie, I called my friends in Florida because he's good. I wish Centerpoint would call him. You know, it'd be good if they had a clue. But obviously, things are more intense than they used to be. My my home area of upstate New York just had a tornado. Maine just had an earthquake. Juneau is getting flooded by glaciers melting. And, you know, none of this is good. And I'm really sorry for the folks who are going to be affected this year. And I just kind of hope that after we tick through the 21 named stories and go into overtime, that there aren't any so awful that we retire the names, like when a good baseball player gets his name retired or number retired.
All right, from floods to joy. Good, bad, or ugly. Joy Sewing.
Wow. Well, I have to agree with Mary that this is ugly. You know, I think right about now, if you mention the word hurricane to just about anybody who has property damage, it's like cursing. It really is like a bad word. We're not trying to hear that. It doesn't really matter whether it's 23 or 25 or 20. Just the fact that we are faced with the possibility of having more hurricanes. And hurricane season does not end until November the 30th, I believe. So we have a long way to go. And I think a lot of people are struggling still with their properties, still with not being able to live in their homes. And to talk about having another hurricane or having more hurricanes is just hard to comprehend. So it's ugly, ugly, ugly.
All right. Good, bad, or ugly. Marco Roberts.
Well, I think there's good news here. There's actually good stuff in here. And
Tell me,
the first thing, of course, if you go from 25 to 23, I'm not sure why you bothered with an announcement, but I guess it's an improvement. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going the wrong direction. So, I mean, that's this tiny little good thing. But it is also more stuff that's I thought was good. As I started looking, and that's one good thing about this show. Sometimes you ask a question, and I'm going, okay, let me look into this because I hadn't really thought about it. And what was interesting is last year was a record number of named storms, and apparently that was the highest number since the 1940s. But what was interesting was what happened when you look before the 1940s, and then you find out that actually before that time, there were a lot more named storms, and then we had a drop from the 40s all the way until about now. But what I thought was, okay, let's look at some of the numbers. And what I thought was really interesting was the lowering number of deaths from storms, regardless. And I think the biggest predictor of damage and life lost is not the number of storms, but the resources you have in your society. That is the real thing, right? That's what's going to make it. If you want to see what's going on in Mexico or Africa or some other place or a Western country, you want to see what is the likelihood that something's going to affect you badly as a person. It's going to be the resources that are available in your society. And so the good news is that we're more resourceful than ever.
Are we?
That's a good thing. Yes.
Houston, really?
So if you look at the number...
In the 1940s, probably,
40s, 50s, 60s, over time. You know, the amount of resources that we have available to deal with these things. Not to say that there aren't bigger issues. Yeah. I'm just saying that our capabilities...
Is it a question of resources available or how well those resources are deployed?
Well, that's also part of it, certainly for sure, right? But if you look around Western countries, the United States, clearly you're going to see the gap is so big that you can't even begin to compare, right? And so there's a lot of good news in there that we're doing a good job, at least if nothing else, of making sure that the damage from these hurricanes and cyclones and other natural disasters, floods, are very limited. You know, the people that die. We have about 3 million people that die every year of natural causes, and 330 million. You know, a country as big as ours. But the number of people that die from hurricanes and cyclones is down into the less than 100 per year, except for 2005, right? That was a Katrina. That was terrible. Other than that outlier, it's pretty. So I'm saying there is good news here. That at least as a species, we're doing a very good job of. You sound so negative.
Well, here's one thing. I just saw so much pain, and this last time compared to all the other hurricanes I've been through here. 1, 2, we lost a former coworker in this, and I lost a good friend in Harvey. And you know there were resources in both cases, but we lost them anyway. And I don't really feel the same thing. We were talking about a trend of 30 years. I don't feel the same thing in the 30 years so I've lived here, actually. Centerpoint, hello.
Well, you know, it's very difficult to deal with anecdotal evidence, right? I mean, certainly if you're personally affected, there's nothing that's going to address that or compare to that. I certainly can't. I certainly couldn't.
Yeah, I agree. I still agree with Mary. I just think that the intensity of the storms seems to be getting stronger, at least the impact. I've grown up here all my life, and I don't ever remember being without power for 6-9 days. I don't ever remember thinking that I'm going to die because I'm freezing to death in my house. I don't ever remember that. And in the last 2 or 3 years, that's what I've experienced personally. So I just my feeling may be a little bit jaded, but I just think that. It's still ugly.
And we're running into more insurance problems, too. I think you just wrote about that.
Yes, I did, absolutely.
And, not only is insurance going up, but some people can't get it now. And I just think that it's not particularly rosy in almost any way, for me at least, from my viewpoint.
Did you inherit the title of Cloudmaster?
No, and I wanted it. I think my older brother took it for a little while. He's got a PhD, so there's just nothing we can do about that.
Well, I will share this. I do share your interest in the weather. I am fascinated by it, and I'm always looking at it.
Mike's weather page, man.
Is that right? I should take a look then. It's interesting.
It's the best.
Panel, Houstonians will be able to watch their favorite hometown gymnast in person this fall. Simone Biles, who trains in spring, and a number of other Olympians will be on tour and on stage in a concert-style performance of athletic choreography in the Athleta Presents Gold Over America tour. As Houston Public Media's Ariel Worthy reported this week, the Houston show will be October 19th at the Toyota Center. In case we missed the subtlety of the name there, Gold Over America Tour shortens to the acronym GOAT, as in greatest of all time, which you could argue Simone Biles is after she secured 3 more gold medals as well as a silver at the Paris Olympics. Simone Biles leads a tour of Olympians who will bring their athletic prowess to Toyota Center October 19th. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Marco.
It's just terrible. I mean, yeah, so I think it's great, obviously, for a lot of reasons. I think, and good for them, too, for the Olympians, because somebody will finally start watching. I think if you have noticed, the ratings for the Olympics are the worst they've ever been. I think in at least 20 years, if not longer, since they've been keeping track. Back as 2000, it was like 60% of Americans were watching. We're down to about 35%, which that's a pretty huge drop, right? And you wonder, there may be many reasons why that's going on. So at least this is an opportunity for these great Olympians to be observed performing, their amazing feats. I would be interested in seeing that myself. I have not been watching the Olympics myself. Mostly I kind of started losing interest a few years ago, and this year didn't get me more interested. Part of it is just too many things going on. It's just too much stuff. I have too much things to do. It just feels like 30, 40 years ago when I was a little kid, it was a little simpler. There were just fewer sports and, you get more excited. Now there's just so many things that I just can't wrap my head around that I got other things to do. But seeing the Olympians in Houston live in person, that sounds exciting to me. And so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Mary?
I'm shocked you weren't watching the break dancing. That just seems, right up your alley, man.
Well, now that you tell me.
Yeah, I think this is good and delicious and wonderful and marvelous. And she is inspiring and determined and delightful and powerful and brave and beautiful and classy. That nod to the gold winner and witty. When she said, "I love my black job," I thought that was brilliant. She's everything. She instills so much pride in the country, the city, gymnastics, and people want to be like her. The jeweler who made her goat necklace has had just been overwhelmed by people asking for some of her jewelry and asking for the goat necklace, which I guess Simone or her group designed, so she's not making it. And the Quran wrote what I thought was a funny story: Be like Simone by getting married in the Harris County 1910 courthouse by Jay Carahan. I'm just like, yeah, that makes you a lot like her. Anyway, she is, and her family is so adorable. Her foster parents, her fabulous, what is he? Chicago Bear guy husband, and that niece, her niece wearing the same outfit. Mm-hmm. Oh. And she's an advocate for foster kids and for mental health. I'm thrilled that there are other ways to see her. I'm thrilled with every endorsement I see her get with her sister or her mom. And, I'm running out of adjectives, but I'll be happy to see her do anything.
So after that, it's clear Marco pays lots of attention and Mary's barely paying any attention at all to Simone Biles. You have to break that tie. Joy.
I was able to sit down with my daughter, who is 8, and watch the Olympics and watch Simone and watch the U.S. gymnastics team. And to see 3 black women on the podium get medals is just amazing. And then Simone and I'm not sure which one, the other one, they bowed down to the woman from Brazil. And it was incredible to watch that. It was such a meaningful thing to experience that with my daughter, because this is about representation. It's not just about these are amazing athletes. You have these black women who are at the top of their game, and Simone Biles represents everything that I hope my daughter can aspire to be, and also, but she says she stands up for mental health, and like you said, for foster care, kids who have gone in foster care, and her grandparents who legally adopted her. So it's just to see what she represents and to do it all with such fire and happiness. She has the most infectious smile. So just to watch that, I hope that I'm able to take my daughter to see that. We'll see how much the tickets are.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing, and hopefully Houston will turn out and support.
I'm curious about the concert style performance of this. What that will mean for decades now. The figure skating world has been very good at the former Olympians who go on to some sort of professional tour.
Right.
And I don't know if we've seen the same juice surrounding gymnasts and being able to go on tour afterwards. And maybe we haven't. I've just missed it.
No, they have. They've had it before. I just don't. I remember this at one point. I don't remember which team it was, but I remember reading about it and thinking that I wanted to go. But
this may be more high profile if for no other reason. Simone Biles herself.
Yeah.
Joyce Owing is news columnist with the Houston Chronicle. Mary Flood's a legal consultant with Androvet Legal Media and Marketing. Marco Roberts is chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Joy, Mary, Marco, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Craig.